Man, I thought October was a good month. Man, November splashed in, was like, hold my beer. I'm going to show you some excitement. Past couple of days in the sports world has been bananas. Had the NFL trade deadline, which was the biggest deadline ever as far as deals taking place. I think it was 9 deals or something like that. Ridiculous. Not to mention Ime Udoka is now about to be the new head coach of the Brooklyn Nets after Steve Nash decided to resign or part ways with the team. What? Man. Bro, it's wild. And not to mention the Phillies got no hit last night. The Astros put up a combined no hitter in the World Series. Where they do that at? Sheesh. All right, we jumping right into it. Man, this has definitely been exciting. So, all right, like I mentioned, the trade deadline in NFL, it passed Tuesday. I think Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Definitely a lot of trades that went down. For starters, the Detroit Lions traded tight end T.J. Hawkinson within the division to the Minnesota Vikings. They also traded this year's 4th round pick and a conditional 4th round pick for 2024 to the Lions for this year's 2nd round pick and next year's 3rd round pick. So the Vikings, who already has Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook, Mr. Empty Calories, Kirk Cousins. Their tight end is Irv Smith, but apparently he's out 8 to 10 weeks. So Vikings definitely like going all in here. They are leading the division by a margin. And so with this move here, in my opinion, it probably solidifies them winning the division. It's their division to lose. If they lose this division, let's just say to the Packers or somebody, everybody needs to be fired. That's where we're at. I still don't trust this team that's only had 1 loss, but nevertheless, your record is what your record is, so you got to get it done. So my Bears, who a few days prior, traded All-Pro linebacker Roquan Smith to the Baltimore Ravens for a 2nd round and 5th round pick. In essence, with that, the Bears finally got Justin Fields a weapon. You may know him as Chase Claypool from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Got him for a 2nd round pick in this year's draft. So Pittsburgh, who I feel like is the NFL version of the wide receiver academy, meaning they always find quality receivers through the draft. Whoever their wide receiver scout is, he must get paid top dollar. It's been like this for about 10 to 15 years now. They always hit on wide receivers, always. But with that being said, Justin Fields finally got himself a weapon. In the last 2 games, not only the Bears, but the world has noticed that Justin Fields can play, and it looks like the Bears officially have their quarterback going forward for the next, 10 plus years to come. Any questions that has, that's still been out there, it seems like those questions have been answered from a perception standpoint. The fact that the Bears put up 29 points against the Dallas Cowboys, who arguably is the best defense in the league. 29 points is the most points that an opponent has scored against the Cowboys this year. And Justin Fields has nobody to throw the ball to, nobody to block for him. At this point, nobody to play defense for him. So, yeah, Chase Claypool, who's showed flashes of, greatness at times, who, also is young and has some, immature moments at times on the field. But nevertheless, it gives Justin Fields an explosive weapon here that can actually possibly do some things. And with this year's draft class and free agent class being very meh or mid or whatever you want to call it on wide receivers, this is probably was the best thing for him. So I'm not mad at it at all. Actually, I'm pretty happy. The biggest trade was the Broncos sending linebacker Bradley Chubb in the 2025 fifth-round pick to the Miami Dolphins for Chase Edmonds, this year's first-round pick, and next year's fourth-round pick. Basically, Dolphins going all in. And they should, because when Tua is their starting quarterback and Tua finishes the game, Dolphins are lethal. Apparently, the addition of Tyreek Hill earlier in the year has been sensational. Raheem Mostert coming over, and the fact that they also, traded for Jeff Wilson, the backup running back now for the 49ers for a fifth-round pick. You basically found somebody else that fits the scheme that Mike McDaniels is familiar with. Now you added a pass rusher / linebacker on the other side of the ball. That's going to free up some other defensive players to actually make plays. Yeah, like Dolphins have no excuse. And this also tells you that they believe in Tua now. So Tua's about to get a bag. So Dolphins, basically, they're Super Bowl or bust right now. So I'm curious to see how the AFC shapes out. Because you still have the Buffalo Bills. You still have the Kansas City Chiefs you got to go through. We will see there. An interesting trade that could definitely pay dividends is Jacksonville trading for Calvin Ridley. Yeah, that guy that betted on, his team last year, ended up being suspended for all of this year. But yeah, Calvin Ridley. They traded him for this year's conditional fifth-round pick and then next year's conditional second-round pick. Conditional picks meaning it starts off at this, but if they meet certain conditions or criteria with a player, whatever the criteria is, that pick can, become a better pick. So that fifth-round pick could possibly, depending on what the criteria is, could become a third-round pick or a second-round pick. So that's why it's conditional. Calvin Ridley, the last time we saw him, you had a legitimate argument that he was the best wide receiver in the league. Like a legitimate argument. So if Calvin Ridley, is Calvin Ridley, the same Calvin Ridley that we last saw him, that is a big upgrade for Trevor Lawrence. Humongous upgrade. That can pay dividends. It really can. So I say that's definitely a good move by the Jags there. Trying to see what else. So Bills, Colts. Bills traded for Colts running back Nyheim Hines, pass catching running back. Was actually pretty good at what he does. They actually swapped running back, so they traded Zach Moss, who's been in the doghouse, and ever since they drafted James Cook, I haven't seen a lot of Zach Moss lately. So they traded Zach Moss in the conditional fifth-round pick. So that just added another weapon, another diverse running back to the Bills' offense that's just going to make them that much more deadlier. But yeah, that's basically all the major trades that happened. But it was a total of 9 that day. New record. Yeah, I've never seen anything like this on the NFL trade deadline ever. So that was exciting. So yeah, I think a lot of teams did actual good with that. And as far as just a quick recap of biggest winners or losers, I guess you could say the Ravens defense when they added Roquan Smith. That helps big time. Justin Fields, like I mentioned, he finally has a weapon. Mike McDaniel, which I mentioned, the coach of the Dolphins. He has an abundance of resources. TJ Hawkinson himself, he leads the Lions to go to a better, more suitable, stable area, the Minnesota Vikings. And the Buffalo Bills, just continue to add weapons, biggest losers. Aaron Rodgers, this man still doesn't have any wide receivers. But, part of it is his own detriment. Leave it at that. Brandon Cooks, who a lot of people thought that he would have been moved to another team. At the last second, he did not. Apparently, the Cowboys was getting ready to trade for him, but they couldn't, figure out who's going to pay majority of his salary this year. So that's why he didn't get moved. Running backs Cam Akers and Kareem Hunt. They was in trade talks the whole time and never manifested. And then I guess the Broncos defense, because at this point they don't really have anybody left either outside of Patrick Surtain. So yeah, that's your biggest winners and losers of the trade deadline. Man. All right, let's get into this Ime Udoka situation. It's just wild. From a public standpoint, it's crazy. So the last time we heard of Ime Udoka, suspended for the whole year for violating code of conduct policies for the Boston Celtics. So just mind you that the Boston Celtics is the team that suspended him for the whole year, not the NBA, right? So with that being said, Steve Nash, a couple of days ago, he parted ways with the Brooklyn Nets. They, hired Jacques Vaughn as their interim head coach, and now it's starting to be reported that Ime Udoka is going to be the next head coach of the Brooklyn Nets very soon. Could be as soon as today, like an official announcement. So, just a lot of people is probably going to be scratching their head just from the court of public opinion. This guy here who, allegedly, I guess, cheated on his fiance, Nia Long, with an employee of the Boston Celtics. Boston felt it was egregious enough to where they suspend him for the whole year and he might get his job back. Instead, after Brooklyn parted ways with Steve Nash, they felt like Ime Udoka is the guy for the job. It was like, hey, you may be suspended by the Boston Celtics, but you're not suspended by the NBA. We like what you did with the Boston Celtics last year. Do you want to be the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets? I'm pretty sure he took that quickly and happily. Like, of course, you got an open spot. I know Kevin Durant pretty well. Yeah, let's do it. So it's just a head scratching situation, but nevertheless, legally, I guess it's fine. It's just the perception of it. That's all. That's all. People always going to wonder what exactly happened in Boston. I'm pretty sure at some point it's going to leak out. And then, we're going to have some more opinions about it. Probably, more than likely, more negative opinions about it. But I guess either way, this will all work out if the Brooklyn Nets, decide to win some basketball games. If the Brooklyn Nets, they'll so happen to win the championship, let's just say, all this gets swept under the rug. Nobody's talking about hardly any of this anymore. Because winning cures all. That is one thing that I have found out over the years. It does not matter how, lack of chemistry is on the team. Doesn't matter, if guys don't get along. It doesn't matter what the off the field or off the court issues are, per se. Winning cures all. If you win, people don't remember all the other details with it. They just remember that you won. Your name is forever in the history books. And to the majority of people, that's all that matters, is the fact that you won. And if you keep winning, that's all people are going to remember. That's the first thing people are going to talk about. Oh, yeah, that team, they were so dominant in that era. They won 4 championships in 8 years. They was unstoppable. That's all people are going to remember. Until you remind them. Like, oh, yeah, that did happen. But, hey, they won. So, winning cures all. Winning cures all for sure. So, Brooklyn right now is 2-6. 13th place in the conference. I mean, it's still early, but I guess we'll see. We will see. So, real quick, heading back to the NFL here for 2 reasons. One, the controversial owner, Dan Snyder, of the Washington Commanders, in I guess somewhat stunning news, he is, I guess, set his sights on officially selling the team, which, he has not been, an advocate of doing so, even, with all the different things that has happened in his organization over the years. He wasn't on board on doing that. So now, I guess something must have happened to where it was in his best interest to do so. So, yeah, so that's actually, good news for the city of DC and the NFL in general, to finally get somebody in there that's actually, more competent and will cause less headaches in the workforce area. With this guy, it's been a number of issues. It's kind of almost similar to that Sawyer situation with the Phoenix Suns, but this here is just, the longevity of this is ridiculous. So, nevertheless, good day for Commanders fans, the city of DC, the NFL on that one, if and when this occurs. All right, so with all this hype, I forgot. I mean, we actually got Thursday night football. We got football tonight. We have the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles 7-0 traveling to Houston to play the Texans, who are 1-5-1. The last time we saw the Eagles on the field, A.J. Brown had himself a monstrous game. Actually, all of it, I think it was in the first half. Man caught 3 touchdowns in the first half. 3. He put the Pittsburgh Steelers on notice. And then the last touchdown, the third one he caught, not to mention, after he caught it, he turned around, he pointed to one corner, because he was double teamed. And then he pointed to the second corner. And I'm assuming he said something along the lines like, you can't stop me, and you can't stop me, and you just can't stop me. So I'm pretty sure some of the lines could have been a lot worse. But either way, it was a taunting flag. The Eagles waxed the Steelers. So now, like I said, Eagles undefeated. The only team that's left in the league that's undefeated. Eagles should make light work of the Houston Texans. They should. Should is the key word. Spread is 13.5. I think the Eagles cover that. I know it's a short week, but the Texans, I mean, their offense has been very inconsistent. The rookie running back, Dameon Pierce, has been like the main bright spot of the team, but Davis Mills has been underwhelming this year, and they thought he was going to take a step in the right direction. He has not. Brandon Cooks, who was a lot more productive last year, is not as productive this year. He only had 354 yards receiving. Defense hasn't played too good in the last couple of games. They got scorched by the Titans and then by the Raiders before that. Yeah, I don't expect too much out on their end. Jalen Hurts himself has been phenomenal MVP candidate. And it looks like the Texans have a few injuries all on the defense. Yeah, I don't expect too much happening here. The Texans only averages 16.5 points a game. The Eagles average 28 points a game. Eagles average 409 or 410 yards of offense. Texans only average 307, so the Eagles actually average 100 more yards on offense a game. Eagles actually average about 150 yards rushing. That's ridiculous. Eagles defense has been sensational. They probably had the best cornerback tandem in the league between Darius Big Play Slay, James Bradbury. Those two guys has been sensational. I mean, yeah, we just gonna leave it at that. Eagles should dominate this game. Shouldn't even be close. I mean, if the Texans end up winning, that'd probably be like the upset of the year. That's where we're at, people. That's where we're at. All right, and then lastly, the World Series is tied 2-2. Philly hasn't been hot except for last night. The Astros did throw a combined no-hitter against the Phillies, a red-hot Phillies team. That might have swung the momentum in this series because at one point it did look like the Phillies was just going to, continue to will their dominance here in the series. But yeah, dude, when anybody throws a no-hitter, combined no-hitter or solo no-hitter, whatever you want to call it, that kind of sucks the air out the room for the other team. So now, series is tied 2-2. Game 5 is tonight. Going at the same time as Thursday Night Football, but this game, World Series is the World Series. So for Philly, they have to win this game. If they do not win this game, I do not think they win this series. I picked the Phillies to win the series because I thought, them being the hotter team, playing the best right now, can, catapult them over. And it still can. But it all depends how they respond tonight. How they respond to get no hit. You got to respond. You got to come out swinging. If you don't, the Astros come in just stop pouring runs on and you can't get on base and all of a sudden those hot bats turn cold, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. So I'm definitely curious to see. I'm going to tune into that game. I'm going to tune into both primetime games tonight. I'm excited to watch. So yeah, definitely been some fun here in the sports world lately. Yeah, once again, I'm here for it. All right, so continue to rock with your boy right here on the No Offense Radio and the No Offense Network. Check me out this Saturday on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast with my bros Brandon and Ian as we break down what's happening in the sports world and get you definitely tuned up in the Chicago sports world as well. Sunday, check me out on the Destination Fantasy Podcast, a fantasy football-driven podcast with my bros Deshaun and Walt as we get you ready for Week 9 of fantasy football. We like halfway through the season. And so at this point, with your fantasy lineups, you just, you know who your guys are, who's not. So make adjustments and keep it moving. But anyway, you all have a good one. We start November off right. We know it's going to be Thanksgiving, y'all, and Christmas and all that good stuff. But until then, continue to rock with your boy right here. All right, y'all. Peace.